Today we're going to talk about the winding Herschel Walker abortion saga and what it says about Republicans more broadly. And I interviewed the Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, about the new revelation that Dr. Oz was responsible for experiments that killed puppies, his response to Republican attacks about crime, and what his tattoos actually mean. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. Honestly, who would have guessed that Herschel Walker's inability to string 4 words together would be the least problematic part of his campaign? Just to give you a quick rundown of what we've seen from the Republican Senate nominee from Georgia, a guy whose entire campaign is predicated on banning abortion nationwide with no exceptions. First, the Daily Beast reported that he paid for an abortion back in 2009, which of course Herschel denied, even though the article included the literal receipts from the abortion provider and a signed card from Herschel Walker himself. Then his son, Christian, released a video basically abandoning his father, calling him a hypocrite, revealing that he's dangerous, and on and on. And by the way, that kid is probably as far right as you'll find. Then another report from the Daily Beast that the woman who alleged that Walker paid for that abortion in 2009 also had a child with Walker. So when he denied even knowing her, I guess it rings kind of false in retrospect when she quite literally gave birth to another child by him. Then the New York Times jumped in, reporting that that woman who alleged Walker paid for her abortion in 2009 said that Walker also tried to pressure her into having an abortion 2 years later in 2011, when she'd gotten pregnant again. She ultimately refused that abortion. She gave birth to the child that was referenced in the previous Daily Beast article, and that proved that reporting true. Then the Daily Beast reported that after Herschel pretended that he didn't know who the woman was, that she'd been texting with his wife, proving that he does know who she is, at which point, of course, NBC reported that Herschel admitted that he does, of course, know who she is. And here's my favorite part of all of this. At the end of all of this, Walker's campaign fired its political director, because that's the problem. The political director should be all good to go now. Can't foresee any more issues now that that person's gone. And look, I do want to caution against something here. I don't think that the answer here is just to point at Walker and say, look, he's a hypocrite. You can't possibly vote for him now, because that's not how people operate. People vote for hypocrites. These politicians are all hypocrites, and they all got voted into office. So the move here isn't to try to make this a referendum on Walker's character, because we already know that he has no values. We already know that he has no principles. If that was all it took, this race would have been over months ago. The move, I think, is to focus on what his hypocrisy means for you. This is a guy who wants to take away the same right to choose, your right to choose, that he availed himself of. That's the danger here. Walker paying for an abortion isn't the problem. He should pay for an abortion. He should exercise his right to decide when and how he grows his own family. The first Daily Beast article quoted Walker as saying that it was not the right time for him to have a child, and that's okay. That's his right, just like it's everyone else's right. The issue here is that despite exercising that right himself, his election to the Senate would mean that the rest of us would be denied that right. So look, I know Fox and the Republican Party and the entire right-wing media ecosystem are now going to rally around Walker because now he's a martyr and they love nothing more than playing victim, and so now he gets to play victim. But if you're a voter in Georgia or basically any of these states where there's a tight race in November, just remember that this isn't about them and their martyrdom. It's about you. It's about what rights you're set to lose by voting these people into office who want to strip you of the same rights that they themselves proved were useful by virtue of the fact that they use them. That's what's on the ballot. Not the tribe, not the team, not red versus blue. It's about the people. It's about your freedom to choose what you do with your own body, your freedom to read whatever books you want, your freedom to marry who you want, your freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water, your freedom to cast a ballot for whoever you want, and your freedom for that ballot to actually count. That's what's on the ballot. They'll try to pull you onto their team because they want you to forget that this is about you. Okay, one quick announcement, and this is an exciting one. I'm selling wine. It's a rosé called Codify Rosé. Yes, I'm proud of the name. The profits are going to an amazing voter registration organization called Field Team 6. They registered 1.5 million Democrats in the 2020 cycle. They're able to register new voters for $1.50 per person. And with voter registration deadlines coming up in the next few days and weeks, this is when your money goes the farthest. So if you want to help support voter registration and also drink, because God knows we need it, then follow the link right here on the screen or in the post description of this video. You can also go to briantylercohen.com and buy 1, 2, or more bottles of wine. Okay, here's a clip from my latest interview with John Fetterman. So there was reporting that Dr. Oz had overseen scientific experiments that killed over 300 dogs. Can I get your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's disturbing to say the least, and the fact that they actually Colombia had to pay a fine because the violence was excessive, and again, it's disturbing, and it's something that Dr. Oz refuses to acknowledge or to answer towards again. And I just can't imagine any Republicans or Democrats, even in Pennsylvania, are they the pro let dogs suffer, plank in the platform, so it's just, again, nothing that he'll acknowledge, and it's shocking.
I think too, if people need a differentiator, you've got two rescues and they've literally got their own Twitter accounts. And like, meanwhile, you've got this guy who's responsible for having overseen the deaths of hundreds of dogs. I mean, it's just, it's incredible.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And we have Levi and Artie, and have both come from extreme background of abuse, and they're just loving animals, and they are just amazing members of our family. And the fact that they just threw them away, literally, in the trash, it's unconscionable.
It's kind of a joke that the worst thing you could do is kill a puppy. It's like comic book villain level stuff. Like, you'd say, well, at least he didn't kill a puppy, meaning it's the bottom of the barrel, like most depraved thing you could possibly do. And yet, how do you think the voters of Pennsylvania are responding to this news?
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Like, even if you believe that experimenting on puppies was justified by science or whatever, but the fact that you would even throw them out like trash, and even one of them were actually alive too, is again, it's just, there's no possible way for them to justify this. And the fact, again, they had to pay a fine in response to that. It's true. It's astonishing.
It's a tacit admission that what they did actually happened, and that they assumed responsibility for it. Okay, so moving away from
the dogs are upset. You're even talking about it. They're barking.
Yeah, well, to that point, moving away from as much as I'd love
to hear
to
about it either.
Right? As much as I'd love to stay on this issue of dead animals, I do want to move on. The Washington Post published an expose also outlining Oz's past of hawking a bunch of shady products and miracle cures. What does it say that a doctor would exploit people with false promises of miracle cures? And what does it say about who he would be as a senator?
What it says?
To check out the full interview with John Fetterman, click the thumbnail right here on the screen, or check out the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel.